Welcome to the State of the Game. I'm Ramek, and tonight I am joined by two very, very special guests. We've got Bumbles from twitch.tv/BumblesZerg.
Hello.
You know him as Bumbles the Necro, who's constantly ripping 1v2. And then we got Keydrick joining us for the first time on the State of the Game. Welcome, Keydrick.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Good to have you, man. So I think there are three New Englanders here, which is something, right? And all
There's
from
a lot of sauce in this call.
and all Eastern
It
Mass
sure
too,
is.
I think. So that worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
So we got a lot to talk about this week in particular. We haven't done a State of the Game in a couple of weeks, and to start off, there was let's talk a little bit about the changes, yeah, because I think we ended the last State of the Game talking about the changes from Caledonia, like the wrap of the Caledonia event, and some of the changes that they have made to porting in New Frontiers. And now they've extended that event, but they've changed. Well, not. I guess they haven't extended the event. They've kept some of the porting that existed from that event, where they replace Safe Port with an obelisk, and that drops you into random spots in EV. And then this is new and exciting. They have also enabled ports to solo towns. So coming from two folks that solo quite a bit, and I think there may be a bit of a difference in terms of what you guys view as soloing versus dueling, and I'm curious to get your take. Let's start with you, Bumbles. What do you think about the changes that Broadsword's rolled out so far with the obelisk and stuff?
I hate it.
Okay.
Plain and simple. It's basically taken away my entire playstyle, which is I roam to kill things. I just get bored. I don't like going to bow towns. The good thing about bow towns, with the current porting system, is when hero or whomever breaks ports, you can still get around. So that's a good thing. But for the most part, yeah, I hate it.
Okay.
Not a fan.
That's fair.
But I mean, it's made a lot of people happy. You know what I mean? And within the solo community, it's made a lot of people happy because their biggest gripe was, I think people just don't have the patience like I do, where I'm fine with roaming around and not finding anything. It's not the best thing in the world, but like I'm okay with it because I've been doing it for so long. But it's made very quick action for a lot of people, which has made a lot of people very happy. So for that, I mean, I give kudos to Broadsword 100% for catering to a niche play style. So good for them.
Do you think it's consolidated the solo action where it was exclusively roaming before for the most part? Do you think it's encouraged new people to get into the playstyle?
That's a double-edged sword, really, because while it might encourage people to get into the play style because it's easy action and you know exactly where to find it, you're also going against into bow towns versus very high roam rank light tanks for the most part, vamps, veilwalkers, melee necros, and for the most part, a newer player who's trying to get into the solo scene is just going to get dominated. That's just really how it goes.
Gotcha. And Keydrick, what about you? Because you play a little bit differently. And people watch your stream, right? They know you roam quite a bit too, but you spent some time in Folly and some of the other towns. How has this change affected you think?
I mean, I wouldn't say I like absolutely hate it. There are some issues with it, right? It does. I mean, most of the people that solo anyway, from what I can tell, usually end up in that zone, right? They're going to end up in Moy or Trell or wherever it is, or on mid, right? They're just going to roam to that spot. So, I mean, like the instant action itself is, I mean, yeah, it's definitely I feel like quite a few people have enjoyed it more, but at the same time, I mean, it does take away from like that roaming aspect of the game, which was pretty limited, like in general before. I mean, just from me coming back 2 months ago, wasn't like we were getting a ton of action. Like I don't just solo; I typically just small man with corned beef. And yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think it's satisfied a few people. And it's quick action, but I mean, Bumbles is correct. Like, I mean, it can get kind of like stressful. I mean, the only thing you're really fighting are going to be like light tanks, and the majority of things that go there are like, I mean, everyone that's soloing over there is like pretty good. Like, I mean, like they're ultimately like they've been soloing for a while. The whole like bow thing, like whether I bow, whether I don't bow, like if I'm an assassin, do I get to stealth and then perf somebody? It's like that kind of like is weird. Like the rules that have been like set up and like who obeys those rules or if like what's going on with them. But at the same time, I mean, like it's brought in quite a bit of action to the solo spots, but again, it's kind of like there's like some obviously there's a negative side of everything too. Like obviously there's going to be the teams that form and a lot of other things. But ultimately I would say like I'm kind of like undecided on it, right? Like I mean obviously I don't want to have to port like immediately to find this type of action. I would like to roam a little bit. But again, the game, like with the population itself, it's gonna be hard. You might be running around and just kind of like I always say, I'm just pretty much spend 3 hours of my stream running before.
Yeah.
So like I mean it's kind of like both ways, you know?
Yeah, I hear you on that. Let's talk a little bit about the formality of it. And I know just because Bumbles is more of a roaming person, you really don't have, I would imagine, you don't really care so much for formality, right? When it comes to the bowing and these rules. Do you think that's
I don't do that stuff.
No, I know. Do you think it's, but do you, just out of curiosity, do you think it's taken away from what it, not that this is, the whole bowing and this sort of being polite thing has existed in, I think, in the solo community for quite a long time. But the people who are getting this first taste of soloing, if, you know, just as a matter of convenience, you think it's taking away from that? Like once this goes away, if it ever does go away, do you think it's going to be a problem for those folks who don't quite know what it's supposed to be like?
I think the bowing thing in general, I just don't understand it. I really don't. So it's hard for me. I mean, the thing I like, you know, anybody who's watched my stream and watched me play, like I like fighting multiples. That's just like a thing that I've always enjoyed. You know, if I can kill one in a 1v2 or a 1v3 or a 1v4, whatever it is, like I get pumped about that stuff. I die a ton, but I don't really care. The bow thing is just a strange formality. It's kind of like ruined the essence of the game to me, like that unexpected nature of the game. I like, there's a part of me that enjoys that small mans have come to the bow towns to like kind of mix things up a little bit. And I think if I was a person who stayed there all the time, I'd get a kick out of it too, because when all the soloers then jump on those crews that come through, for the most part, they can destroy them because they're usually solid players. They just don't have heals. So it's, you know, it's just one of those things that I don't get it personally. Anybody that I've ever fought at a bow town, if I'm like porting through, they normally will attack me. Like if somebody bows to me, I don't even pay attention to it. And you know, for the most part, I'll just attack somebody if I'm in the mood to do it. That's all. That's just how it is. I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, you know, I'm going to wait for you to get purge up in IP and all that other stuff. Like that's the nature of the game, is to compete without those things at times. Sure, it's great to run into something fully temped out, but then at the same time, you're like, you know, you have people that will, you know, they'll blow their stuff, they'll port back and sit there for 15 minutes waiting for it to come up, and that's just weird too. Now, don't get me wrong. When I was going through and pushing my lone enforcer on my armsman, I was one of those who used the respec stones like to a T. I mean, I think I invented that whole thing, but I was doing it because I was fighting full groups of stealthers by myself. So when you're doing that, I basically would key in whoever used phase shift and whoever used Zephyr. Like I know that don't have that stuff down, so I'm coming after you and I'm gonna get that kill. So you know, I mean, you know, I'm no angel when it comes, no purist or anything like that. But you know, just one dude's opinion, man.
Yeah, no, I think it's a valid one too. Keysric, you've been doing some stuff, trying to really promote the game with that. You did this giveaway. Do you want to, because it was really focused, I think, on the solo community, wasn't it? I mean, it was a Nightshade. Do you want to tell folks what you did, and maybe not who it went to, but just walk us through?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, more or less, it was kind of like a little joke thing we were doing in the stream chat, and I was like, you know what? Why don't we like kind of like make a new character? We'll level it up. We'll try to get it realm rank 5 on the stream. We'll play it. We'll temp it out, and then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and like add some game time to it, maybe some mithril, and then go ahead and just give it away as like a giveaway. And ultimately, the experience, like it was an elf nightshade, so we went with a piercer nightshade, and granted, I'm not very good at assassin anyway. But when we went ahead, it was definitely a fun time. It happened during the whole like bow time era, right? So like going to bow town, like whenever somebody bowed to me, 100%, I was not gonna not fight them, regardless of what I had up. And I think that's sometimes an issue. Is like people will like shake their head no, and that's the whole bow thing. It's like, why do you have to bow and stuff like that? Because like ultimately somebody can shake their head no, and then what do you do? But ultimately, yeah, it was fun. It was difficult. I mean, like I said, you're fighting some of the best solo players out there. I probably lost like 90% of the fights out there, but ultimately we hit Realm Rank 5, which was the goal. It took a few days, took a few nights, but it was fun for sure. And we had the giveaway. Somebody won it. It was kind of neat. The person that actually won it plays it a little bit. From what I can tell and from what they were saying, they didn't have an assassin, so them being able to get an assassin was kind of neat. Like ultimately, yeah, could a troll have won it and like went ahead and just deleted it on like what's it called and put it on YouTube for sure. But I mean, you guys like Ramik, shout out to like Bloodcore, Ollie, Sleepy for going ahead and donating whether or not it's Mithril Supremacy pots. That thing was loaded with like 6 or 7, 8 Supremacy pots, Celerity pots. I think 6,000 Mithril, 3 months of game time card. I think it was like roughly like we did the math. It was like $150 value just for the account itself. And yeah, I mean it was fun. I think like chat had fun with it. They were like, let's do a Volk now and let's all kind of group up and like multiple people can do it and like stream this Volk for a month. And we were gonna talk about like looking into doing something like that for the next one, just for fun, and then ultimately get some more people involved with it.
Yeah. Well, I think it went to a good cause. I unfortunately, and it was live on stream, rolled you, which was not.
That was gold.
I was. I was.
That was amusing.
Yeah. Yeah. In hindsight, I was a bit concerned with the name. I don't know why I got triggered. But the name was DAOC giveaway. Thankfully, Corned Beef jumped in and was like, no, like that's Kedrick. And I felt like trash. But anyway, I'm glad the account went to a good cause. Okay, so I want to quickly touch on this, not to spend too much time, but I've spent a little bit more time now, I think, than I have in the past in Folly and Trell, etc. And I've noticed, and again, it might just be that I've spent more time there recently, that there are a lot of groups that are just blowing through. I'm going to start with Bumbles. What's your take on that? I mean, maybe it doesn't affect you as much, but do you have an opinion?
Yeah, I think it's part of the game, and they're just taking advantage of it. You shouldn't be isolated in this game. I'm sorry. Like, as soon as you step foot into the frontiers outside of a keep that your realm owns, that's it. You're free game. So people think that they go into bow towns and they're on this little isolated island and nobody can touch them. I think that's a bunch of horseshit, to be totally honest.
Fair point.
So while I appreciate everybody who wants to go out there and get legit 1v1s and like, test your skill against somebody else's skill, they can't isolate you. They can't put you, it's not like you're zoning into a whatever the hell it's called. You know what I'm talking about. Like, you click a button, you go into this little thing, and you're the only
like an arena, right?
Yeah, like an arena. So, do I encourage groups to go to these things? No, of course not. But do they do it? Do I get a kick out of it? Sure. If I see people there, or if somebody calls out in a region, hey, a group is here or a 3-man, I'll port there just to try to fight them.
Sure.
But I also attack BGs by myself, so I'm not the smartest person in the world.
I don't think it has anything to do with smarts. I think it just has to do with the level of aggression that you play. you go after everything that moves. Kedrick, what about you? What do you think about these groups just blowing through?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I definitely agree with what Bumbles is saying, right? The game is built off RBR. So, I mean, you're pretty much free to be able to do anything you want in the game. And that's what's most enjoyable about it, right? There are like kind of some exceptions. And exceptions, I don't mean like they should be able to do this or shouldn't be able to do this, right? But at the same time, like when there's some sort of like, for example, like the next Ron's sell Zerg, right? When they come up and roll Folly or roll Trell or whatever, everything's like everyone knows this is going to happen. It's expected, right? Like, and ultimately, like Bumble said, like if these things do happen, people come together, the soloers, and most of the time, like 5 good soloers that are playing, I've seen be able to take out like 16 stealthers, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat in that aspect of it. But like at the same time, there are obviously some people that go ahead and when they're soloing, then ultimately will form this group, which is totally fine. Again, like this is an RVR zone, but at the same time, then they go ahead and start just kind of like picking off people during their fights and whatnot, right? Again, totally cool and everything like that. But then they ultimately get to go back to that same town tomorrow, and be able to just solo away and do everything. And nobody's like, everyone's kind of like nervous to go ahead and kill them because at that point, once they do that, well, guess what? Now you're that adding person. You're not technically allowed to go there anymore, even though technically they're the ones that did the same thing, right? So they're kind of like almost dictating the game, and the play style itself is like, I don't know. I'm just up in the air about it. I mean, how it's kind of hard to especially promote the game, like promote soloing when you talk so highly of like these awesome soloers, right? And like granted, like don't get me wrong, some of the people that are doing this are like the best in the game. Like I feel like at soloing, and I respect them a lot. I respected them before, and I still respect them, right? That's not the case. It's more or less just like they have like it's almost like a they get to do one thing, and then ultimately the next day, like if something happens to them, well, guess what? It's like now you can't go back to the solo zone again. So it's kind of just like I don't know. It kind of it's annoying at the same time, especially when you're trying to promote the game and you're trying to go ahead and like the solo community and whatnot. And when they do these type of things, and people are like, okay, well, why don't you just go ahead and get 2 or 3 or 4 people and go wipe them? Well, that's great and everything like that, but then you're ultimately pugging 2 or 3, 4 people, right? And then you're fighting some of the best people in the game,
Yeah.
and they obviously know what they're doing, right? So they're skilled players and whatnot, and that's great and everything like that. But you still have to find people to do that. And for the state of the game right now and the population of it, I mean, it's really kind of I feel like I don't know. There's obviously some issues with it. It's like kind of like it's like some sort of void. Like a lot of people are not like I mean happy with this, of course, right? Because they ultimately demand the same respect, and I feel like they're just dictating the game and how we play it at that point. And people are just kind of nervous to do anything about it. Like I couldn't get 2 or 3 or 4 people to go kill these guys. I mean, I've tried it. It's ultimately it's not the easiest thing in the world. And again, the game it's like it's a small frontier. I mean, it's a large frontier, a small little area, and then just the back and forth. Like they're able to do this one thing. They're solo and everything's fine. They kind of like are upset when groups come and roll them or whatnot, or they'll add somebody if they added a fight. But ultimately, when they do it and they come back the next day, nobody's adding them because they're too nervous to. Because at that point, then ultimately they're never going to be able to go back there. So kind of stinks a little bit, but again, RVR, people can do what they want. That's totally fine. But I mean, with the game and the population at what it is right now, I mean, I don't know. I probably just would try, especially if I was them, not to kind of steer people away from the game and kind of promote it. Like everyone knows how good they are. I mean, even the stream, like I was watching some of their streams, like they're fun to watch. Like they need to do that more often, like stream more. Like they're very good at what they do, and I think ultimately they should be trying to promote the game a little bit too, instead of just causing all this chaotic drama in the solo chat.
Yeah, so that's
Ah,
right.
sorry.
No, no, no.
That
was my thing
I was just
too.
saying here, like the entire time you're speaking, Kedrick, I don't have I'm completely clueless as to what you're even talking about because I don't become involved in the solo Discord. I have no idea about all this like drama that is involved. And I was talking about it tonight when we were 8-manning running around.
Yeah.
I'm not in Alliance. I've been in my own guild for 15 plus years. So like Daok drama, I'm so clueless about it. I don't get involved in it. I have no idea what happens. So like hearing this, I'm just like, that sounds interesting. So it's just news to me. That's
No,
all.
for sure. And I mean, obviously, I mean, there's drama in every game, right? I mean,
Yeah.
especially RVR game. I mean, and that's the fun part. Like, I mean, there's always like the good trash talk. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Even like some fights with Dodge or whatnot, like you can say these things like, "Oh, dude, you evade like 100 times. You're in it sucks." Like, just joking around. Like, it's funny, right? But at the same time, it's like both parties kind of know that. But ultimately, like when like solo chat right now is kind of getting like super just like toxic, and it's almost like you don't even want to kind of be a part of that. Like, I'm not totally for any of the drama itself, and I really want to just kind of steer clear from it. And I ultimately think that everyone should just try to be like I don't know, remain positive and try to promote the game more. Like again, all the people in this solo channel are very good at what they do. I'm not even like a soloer. I mean, all the time. Like every time I come back, I either do small man, I try to do like depends on the game. Right now, the game's kind of hard. It's the same 3 8-mans out there. You guys are one of them. You're competing versus like two very good 8-mans out there, and it's probably very difficult. But you guys get up and do it again. Same thing at Bowtown. You go out there. You're fighting some of the best light tanks. You're fighting some of the best shades. Best heavy tanks, like they're all geared, they know what they're doing, and you lose a lot, but you get back out there and do the same thing. So I just think there's like, if they ultimately like want to have like some sort of respect and whatnot, then they should kind of just I don't know. I mean, they can play the game how they want. I'm just saying, like, ultimately, I don't feel like I've supported them and what they do all the time. I just think it's kind of like, again, chaotic and toxic, and it's hard to promote a game. Like, I haven't streamed for the past like week and a half. I mean, it's only been going on for like 3 or 4 days, but I could have streamed a few times, but it wouldn't have been fun. It would have been crappy streaming. How am I going to promote the game and get people to want to play when this type of stuff's happening?
So it's the stuff that's going on in the Bowtowns that's, or is it just the general attitude of folks?
Yeah, I mean, a general attitude too. I mean, like, ultimately that's one of the things, right? Obviously, it's like a toxic environment in there. I mean, it's always kind of been a little toxic, but it's getting to the point where I think it's like, I don't even care to like look at it much anymore. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm trying to promote the game. I love this game. We all come back to it, right? It's all something we want to play. And I mean, when this type of stuff's happened, like, there's all this toxic stuff, everyone's like killing everyone, and totally, it's great, it's promoting some like chaotic stuff, right, in an RVR based game. But it's hard to get back out there and do the same things if you're doing what they're doing, just because they kind of have that like power there. And again, totally fine, whatever they want to do. It's just something that I feel like it's just hard to promote, especially for the solo community. Again, I'm not a super like good soloer. I don't solo like all the time, but at the same time, when I do, I know there's a lot of people in my stream that come to my stream that like love soloing, want to solo, want to come back to Dark Age and stuff like that. So it's hard when they're like, oh, like, how's the game? How's the action? It's like, and you're just like, oh, well, it sucks tonight, like, there's not much going on except these 3 or 4 scouts up here just shooting everything that you're trying to kill in the only area that has action for that 1v1. So
yeah.
I will say though, just a quick interruption about the soloing thing. So last week, I mean, it's not a ton, but I had 85 solo kills for last week, and that was all roaming. So I mean, you still can get out there and get solo kills in the roaming game. So I just want people to know that that's still a possibility. It's still a thing. You'll get rolled a lot. You'll get 1v5'd all the time. It happens to me all the time, but you might kill 1 or 2. So it's still there. So you can still do it.
Yeah, I think it's all possible. There's still action to be had. Just, there are ebbs and flows in this game's population. There always have been, and sometimes it's more difficult than others. There's Bumbles has been asked to bring the cat out. We saw the tail,
awesome.
And I wasn't sure if it was like an octopus in the water behind you. Like, it was a very strange moment because I just saw a tail whip around the side of the camera. But
this is my baby dragon.
Baby dragon, that's a beautiful cat. That's a beautiful cat.
I try to get mine, but it's hiding.
That's awesome. Yeah, my dog Sadie will not come on camera. She ate an orange the other day. One of the kids dropped an orange, and she's been a little under the weather since. So she's working through that. I can't get her out of bed. She's sleeping. Anyway, besides the point. Yeah. So look, there's always going to be a risk. Right, when you go out into New Frontiers, regardless. I don't think Broadsword has any plans. It doesn't seem like they have any plans to change that. They put in that anti-camp or like sort of, thing, but that only really tries to circumvent groups running up there. It doesn't solve the problem of this, some of the folks in the community sort of getting together, right, and kind of doing their own thing up top. And we're not going to name names. People in chat are like, please name names. We're not going to do that. The only name I'll drop here is Nate Bruner, who's in chat at the moment.
Nate Bruner's won 2 of my giveaways, so.
Has he really?
Oh yeah, on 2 different accounts. It's funny.
Yeah. I would encourage everybody to go look at Lithlet's latest video. A great fight with Nate Bruner. Like a really, really, really good fight. But he didn't. Spoiler: Nate didn't win the fight. Still a good fight. Okay, so we've got some chat topics or some topics that were submitted. I just kind of want to kick over there real quick. This one is pretty lengthy, and I would hope that if you guys submit these topics in the future, just break them up if you can into smaller chunks. But we'll read this. We'll just skim this really quick. So the question, the tough question of true population of game and possibly the trickle down effect, is the game designed for an amount of players that we have? So essentially, it's talking about the size of NF and whether it's too big. We've talked about that on the State of the Game before. Maybe we just start there. What do you guys do? Do you have an opinion about the size of NF? Bumbles, maybe we start with you.
Yes, it's too big.
Yeah.
I've said it in the past. I mean, basically, everything below Glenlock, Bold, and Neged should just be eliminated. It shouldn't be there.
Just gone. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, it's too much. I like the island. I like the new porting system that they have on the island for both, solo action, small manned groups. They've kind of done it where, it's kind of an anti-Zerg mechanic, but eventually Zergs will go there if they know that 8-mans are on the island. That's just the nature of how things are. Because again, you're not in a bubble. So, you go to one spot, you can't say, oh, no, only 8-mans go to the island and do this kind of stuff. When we were out there yesterday, it was frustrating because we were fighting 2 and 3 groups, but at the same time, it's like, it's an open game. Broadsword provides us with all these tools and these opportunities. It's up to the player base to decide what they want to do with it, and this is what the player base is choosing to do. So but yeah, NF is way too big for the number of people that we have.
Yeah.
But I can't see Broadsword ever changing it. I can't say. For me, if Broadsword ever cut the NF down, that's like them admitting that something's not right, and I just can't see from a business side of things. I can't see that happening.
Yeah, and I think that there's the chance that the population ticks up, right? That there is this ebb and this flow. Taking that part of it away, I could understand why they wouldn't want to in the event that the population does end up ticking back up again.
Yeah.
But it can be tough to find a fight. On the other hand, from my perspective, I don't know. It'd be nice to not have to run all over the place to find action, but we still find it. It just takes longer than maybe we would like. Kedrick, what about from your view?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely probably larger than we all want it. Like I said, there's some streams when we were roaming. Before the whole Bowtown thing, you would have to kind of roam, right? So even then, it's like I spent maybe about, if I just stream 4 hours, maybe 2 hours was running, which is fine, but I don't like cardio, right? So obviously, it's like making it a little smaller. I mean, great, that would be great. I'd love to see like some like analysis done on like some areas, like, because I can only imagine there's some spots in the game, especially like on the southern parts of the map, where nobody ever goes unless, like, for example, Hororius takes every keep and they need to go to that one dock down wherever it is in the realm, right, to take a boat. But yeah, I mean, like, ultimately, like, some of those areas that get like no foot traffic or something like that, I mean, what's the point, right, of having them there if it's just a large frontier that nobody's ever going to? I think instead of like making it smaller, they could like kind of like make it like put some special, like I don't know, like some realm point bonuses or something, like, hey, go fight in like wherever, the Penne Mountains or whatever, and kind of like you get this specific like realm point bonus or whatnot, like to try to get people to go elsewhere. And I mean, it's either EV or I feel like the solo spots right now, mazes sometimes, of course, but then again, like you're also just maybe killing the typical box quester who is in King's gear or whatnot, and I mean, there's not that much satisfaction in that too. So
Yeah, should have taken makes a good point. That the bonus for, they did it for keeps right before. There was a bonus at I think it was with the Ghost Keep or the Dragon Keep. Somebody's going to smack me for getting that. I always get them mixed up. But it was dominated by Zergs. Should have taken as a point. This idea of doing zone-wide or multiple zones, I think would be great.
Yeah.
Anywhere to consolidate. I mean, and they've taken steps, I think, outside of what they would have normally done to consolidate action on EV. They've even added, for those who are watching who haven't paid attention to the patch notes or haven't played in a bit, they added these like this report every, if you use the obelisk to port in from the relic towns, you get a little printout of how many groups are on EV, up to 5 or more, right? I think it's you get individual counts of groups. So they've tried to consolidate the action, but I agree, like, finding other ways to promote a particular zone would be a great thing. I haven't ignored whoever submitted this question. I don't have a name here. I have read the entire question. I promise. I've looked at it. There's stuff here about ALBs, and the game design, relic timers, all that stuff. I'm gonna break this question up for next week, and we'll cover it in more detail. I don't want you to feel like I've left you out here. But I think the primary point here was that there was a low pop and that New Frontiers was too big, and I think we covered that. The next question is about Assassin Mez Poison. So the fact that it ignores Remedy, castable on range without even hitting. Do we think it's working as intended? Keydrick, what do you think first? We'll go to you.
So can you re-ask that question there specifically?
Yeah.
'Cause, yeah, go for it.
Sure. So it's something about the Assassin Mez Poison. Is it working as intended, considering that it ignores Remedy, it's castable on range without hitting, things like that? Is it working?
Yeah, I was looking at that. I'm not 100% sure. I was looking at the Dark Age website on that specific question there just to see, and it says that if I take a look here, Dark Age of Camelot and Remedy, I believe it says something to do with like weapon poisons, and I'm not sure. It isn't like the Mez poison like a spell itself. So I'm not 100% sure. I believe it's working, but again, I don't really play an assassin. I did play the assassin to Realm Rank 5, and I probably failed every Mez poison I could have to try to win a fight. So I'm probably not the best person to ask this question to.
It's so Igni points out that apparently because infiltrators can go Battle Master, you can throw a weapon and land any of these things that are applied to weapons. So that's kind of interesting. Bumbles, what about you? You running?
The only thing I have against the Mez poison stuff is number one, debt has no effect on debt, has no effect on charge, all those kind of things, which just seems strange. It's a free ability given, and it kind of negates something that you have to spend realm points on. So for me, that's just kind of strange. But I mean, it's been this way for a long time, so you have to assume it's working as intended. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But yeah, I mean, I was Battle Master forever on my Infiltrator, and throw weapon was fantastic, especially with people with brittle guards. You just target the brittle guard, and it's gonna mez whoever had the brittle guard, and everybody around them. So that you have an AOE mez right there.
Oh, that's really I didn't know about this, or never thought that throw weapon you could use it with throw weapon, but that's kind of interesting. Maybe it does need a second look. I don't know. Casper points out, well, it was a master level before. Gear Bunny says, whose Coda Cadens in here, poisons can also be ranged with crossbows if you swap weapons to regular weapons after the bolt has left the crossbow. Wow, that's fascinating. Okay,
that's some next level stuff.
That is some next level stuff. Holy crap. Okay, there's a few questions here about Woke. I'm just trolling Woke earlier. I was giving Ross a hard time. I don't really know enough about it to talk about it. We're not going to be trolling or calling anybody out here, other than maybe Nate Bruner, just because I love giving him crap. I don't know. I think Keydrick summed it up, and it sounds like Bumbles and I are just as like oblivious to what's happening here. So maybe it's not a great idea for us to dive into it. But as Keydrick said, people who have this visibility right in the game. The onus is on them to, I'm not gonna say act responsibly, but to carry that, to use that weight to their advantage for good. The game only grows if we act appropriately, right? If we do the right thing instead of the wrong thing. Whether what they were doing is right or wrong, I have no idea. I'm not getting into that. We'll save that for another day. So the next question is for with the new port from the Relic Towns, but with no point of travel there. But with no point of travel, there's limited opportunity for action. Can't camp keeps, docks, drop points, as these do offer some other limited action. Do you feel that this is something they should expand on or dial it back? With the new ports from Relic Towns, but with no point of travel there, I'm a bit confused. Can somebody? I think
all they're
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, all they're saying is prior to getting to solo towns, people could camp, the next closest keep and camp the travel routes. That's all they're basically getting at, is this new instaportation and getting around has gotten rid of known travel routes for small mans, other soloers, stealthers, whomever it is, to try to get their action in without having to go to these bow towns. And yeah, I'll 100% agree with that. It's gotten rid of it, but you can still find it. You just have to, you just kind of have to work at it. It's just a little more.
What you said that you managed to get quite a few kills last week. You gave us a number earlier in the night. What were you in terms of solo? Like, what was your rank for last week, Bumbles?
14th or something like that, or 13th.
And you were just out roaming, right?
Just out roaming.
So
yeah. And I didn't play a couple of days, you know what I mean? So I could have easily gotten over 100 for the week. And that's just all roaming stuff. I mean, I might have had 5 fights or something like that in bow towns, but for the most part, yeah, I was just roaming around.
Fair point. There's a chat's kind of curious why we're skipping this. I think Kedrick talked about it. Maybe, I don't know if you've got more to say, Kedrick. If you don't or do, I mean, I think you covered it, but it's up to you.
Yeah, I mean, like, ultimately, if anybody really wanted to, like, kind of, like, look into the solo Discord, I mean, they could do that for sure. Again, there's no issue. It's an RBR game, right? So people can do whatever they want, and I'm totally for that, right? I'm totally for pretty much, if anybody wants to pretty much group up, go run these towns over, by all means they can. I'm just saying, like, there's like a two-sided thing going on here, where the people that you see and respect as like these prominent soloers going ahead and then ultimately just teaming up, and they say the only reason that they're doing it is because the people deserve to whoever they're killing or ganking or whatnot, or adding on their fights, deserve it. It's like, well, I mean, ultimately it was pretty much everyone those 2 nights, and it was just kind of more or less like, I don't know. Again, it's something like, we're so used to now this bow town thing, and it kind of sucks because you are used to it, right? And you kind of get used to it, and then like you're kind of just like going back and doing the same thing over and over, and then ultimately you're trying to respect everybody else that's doing it, right? And like I said, like, there's groups like Arlington's group that comes, wipes it. Understandable. That's just going to happen. And like, I mean, ultimately, you're kind of expecting it. You're expecting next run. You're expecting the stealth zerg from mid to do that. It's just like the people that are there, that are soloing, that are probably the hardest ones to beat. Like, ultimately, they just want to go ahead and then be like, something like, let's just troll everybody and then just kill them, like, or add them for no specific reason. Because like, ultimately, I can't imagine that me specifically was like got them that upset that they had to go ahead and do that. And then again, like, say for example, I go there the next day and I kill them or try to add on them in a fight, right? Guess what? Never going to be allowed there ever again, and most likely I'll probably get ganked every single time. It's just, these people have like some sort of say at these bow towns, and again, they can do whatever they want, but at the same time, it's like, sometimes it's just a little, I don't know. It's a turn off, like to go back and try to solo then, and then ultimately, like Bumble said, though, just roam and try to get your kills, and that's totally fine. But I only have a few hours a night, like 4 hours sometimes, to go play Dark Age, and I'd like to get some killing done. So for sure, it's just a little difficult. But again, by all means, they can do whatever they want. I mean, the drama itself, I try not to even get in on. Yeah. I mean, the toxic environment or whatnot, I try not to say too much in there, but yeah, I mean, if anybody's interested, just go read Solo Chat. For sure. Or
maybe actually get some sleep and don't go through the 30
I would actually 30 or 40 pages. Not going to read it unless, like, I don't know, you like Jersey Shore or something like that. Some drama.
That's good. That's a great way to describe it. Okay, so the last question here, and then I think we'll get into some chat topics. And if you guys have things that you want to talk about, feel free to drop them in chat. I'll take them. I'll put them in the spreadsheet and we'll cover it. This is kind of a follow-up question. If you cut down the size of the maps, what do Zergs do? What about keeps, relics? How do you house 6 relics with lesser keeps? How do you prevent Zergs rolling 8 small solos in a small area? I'll take a stab at this initially and say I don't think you do, and I think that's kind of the point. I think the 3 of us agree that being out in New Frontiers is a risk, and that's a risk that you kind of have to accept. You shrink the map if you did shrink the map, you'd have more action, and you'd probably die a lot more, but at least you'd find fights faster. I don't know about the mechanics of relics or keeps or whatever, and I don't think that really matters. Relics have only just recently, in the past like week and a half, started becoming a thing after they put in the what was it, the protection obelisk, right? Like, there were so many people that were so afraid to take relics for months because it would affect their the defense whatever the defense ablative or whatever you want to call it that was there, the damage reduction spell. And only recently has it started becoming a thing. I don't even know if relics are viable at this point. I don't know what difference it makes. But Bumbles, to you, does it? I mean, I don't have to spend too much time talking about it. Does it make a difference if they shrink it? I mean, what happens?
I think it'd be a good thing, because then the BG leaders are kind of forced to fight each other and not just avoid each other all day. With a big area to avoid each other, that's exactly what happens. If you're squished into one small area, you're naturally going to run across each other, unless you just sit inside of keeps. Again, all this stuff, every playstyle that we're talking about, and the good, the bad, and however you view it, is purely the player base making it happen. You know, we're given the building blocks, and these are the dumb castles that we're building. If you don't like it, then, you know, you got to do something else. It's just how it is.
Sure.
Broadsword can only give us the tools. Everything else is on us.
Yeah, they've historically it's been very much about the, I keep saying this over and over and over again in these state of games, but it's the player population policing themselves. It is the structure, and then they say go forth, right, and do as you will. And the community so far has done a great job managing, you know, with some bumps in the road, managing that structure that they provided. I've no doubt that the people would adapt and the game would adapt. Kedrick, does this make any difference to you at all? And maybe a follow-up question: do relics matter for your particular play style?
Honestly, I haven't really even looked much into the relics itself, but at the same time, I mean, there was always that I don't know, that fun experience of going and taking a relic. I mean, that was more back in the day. I feel like to go get it and then try to carry that thing back, like. But nowadays it's pretty. I don't know. The relics themselves, I'm not sure really. Ultimately, there's nothing. I don't really mind them. I don't care too much about it. If somebody's doing a relic raid or something along the lines of that, I mean, I'm probably not going to join it unless, like, for example, I have a few people to go out with. But I mean, no, it's not something that satisfies me. Like, I don't come back to the game and think about like kind of taking the relics or whatnot.
Sovereign is saying it would be like what the previous Caledonia events were, popular at first and then boring. I mean, I don't. Oh, Sovereign says, I think taking relics is just a side effect of them trying to squeeze out whatever action they can. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm looking forward to another Caledonia event. I think Broadsword learned a lot from that, and we learned a lot from that. If they shrink Frontiers, if they ever did, not saying that they would, but if they ever did, I think that there's a lot of takeaways from the Caledonia event. What worked, what didn't. And I don't know if we'd encounter some of the same issues that we did at the tail end of Caledonia, but who knows. Babamalama says, take the instaports to solo towns away, tape obelisk away as well, give ungrouped RP bonuses in certain zones. That could be something. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that they're doing everything that they can. I'm sure that there are events in the pipeline. You know, this alt server at some point down the road is going to make an appearance. You know, it's, I don't know. How
long have we been we've been streaming for like 50 minutes? That's the first time in 50 minutes you said alt server.
I know, and I
You
usually
almost
say
made
classic.
it through an entire state of the game.
Well, but I did, I guess, because I didn't. Now I've just said classic. But I'm trying this new term called alt server out. It's like classic but different. It probably is classic. But anyway, yeah, it's I don't know. I still believe that they're working on it. The changes have been great that they've made, I think. I will say that it's a bit strange in literally 4 weeks going from the person that was accused of zerking everybody down to being one of the 3 one of the 3 8-mans that are out there. It's kind of a weird feeling. And I wasn't zerging everybody down before. Maybe in small, short, sort of isolated cases that happened, but not really. Was never my intention. But it's a lot has changed, I think, for me in my playstyle over the last month or two, and I think the recent changes have only helped that for me. As I've only given me the oomph to go out and 8 and do more of this stuff. Getting back into the fights have been fun. I don't know if there's much else to talk about. Maybe could we just very quickly talk about the state of the realms? Alb versus Mid versus Hib, and sort of like maybe some observations. Bumbles, we'll start with you. Do you have any?
I mean, right now Alba's just the redheaded stepchild, for lack of a better term. But I'm cool with it because I'm playing Alb right now, and it's nice to have constant action in my realm. I love the fact that we haven't taken Herb back in days. Like, who cares? Just let it sit there. It doesn't really matter. Again, all this stuff is just purely Zerg dependent. So for whatever reason, Hero wants us to have a relic in Ren. Otherwise, he would have taken it back. I got a kick out of last week, I think it was, when the relics first switched hands and Alb had none. Legan made a comment about, he's like, this will hopefully get action out of Alb for a while. And then the next night he took 3 Alb keeps. So it's kind of what Sovereign was saying in chat, like, relics are, when there's nothing else to do, you take a relic. And that's kind of what it is. What I would love to see people do, and this just takes self-awareness on their part, when you're on a realm and you're running 5 or 6 groups and there's nothing else out and you don't have anything to do, hell, log off and jump on another realm, and then you could have 3 groups versus 3 groups, or split it all up, 2 groups on each realm. I mean, if you're in an alliance, you're in a battle group, just make a call. If Legan said or tried to get people to do it, I'm sure he could get people to do it because he has some pull on mid, and I think he's really great for the game. And I understand, like, there are people who are just like hardcore, like, I play mid, I don't play any other realms. But if they could switch up stuff, that'd be fantastic. It's just, again, it's people being self-aware and saying like, oh, this sucks, there's no action. Well, there could be. You just have to go outside your comfort zone, go on a different realm, and then you have people to fight. And you're fighting your friends, people that you play with on a constant basis, that when there is more BGs out there, you have somebody to fight. But again, it's just a thought from a random dude who runs around and attacks BGs by himself.
Kedrick, what about you? What's your take?
I mean, I kind of like swap like different realms all the time. It just depends on really like what I want to play, and like kind of like I pretty much only really have like one other person playing the game right now that I know, which is Corned Beef. So whatever he wants to play, we usually hop on and play. But I think it's been neat. I mean, the one good thing about like this whole the whole Bowtown thing and everything like that is you have seen some kind of like unique classes and race combinations with classes come out. Like the Avalonian Armsmans, and I saw like what was it the other day? So there's some like Kobold, like some warriors, Kobold warriors. Like, you just see a bunch of different like kind of race and class, which I think is ultimately hilarious. It's been super like light tank heavy on mid, so you see a ton of Zerkers, and like it's kind of funny to watch the Zerkers like go off on people because it is such a powerful class. So I mean, like, ultimately I feel like all the realms are like, I don't know, it's been fun. Like I've really enjoyed Alb. I've been playing the Paladin Necro. Necro's such a fun class. It's a little cheese class, right? Like, obviously, sorry, Bumbles, I'm not trying to say it's like a cheesy class, but at the same time, it's like, it is. I mean, it's like, it's one of those classes where if you can get really good at it, I mean, it's like, it's hard to beat a Necro, right? So there are some like fun, unique classes, and I've enjoyed a lot of like trying out these new classes and trying different things. Obviously, like there's switching classes a lot ultimately makes you kind of like have to learn a different class, so you're not as good. But at the same time, it's been fun. I mean, there's a lot of good things in the game. Obviously, there's a lot of bad things. There's a lot of your typical game, right? But all the realms seem pretty fun. And one funny story about Hororius, because everyone wants to see him on here at one point, about like a month ago. Yeah, we were streaming. It was me, Corned Beef, and my buddy Driz, and we were out trying to defend a keep when the Caledonia event was happening because we were a little late to the party and couldn't join it. And it was like 11 o'clock, 12 p.m. Eastern, and Hororius was tuning into the stream, and ultimately he literally saw the stream, saw us defending a keep in Hib, and I think it was like 4 a.m. his time. He literally logged on and came and defended the keep. So I thought that was really neat of him, and I would love to see him for sure on one of these.
He actually pulled me into. I was on Hib soloing, just running around, sort of killing time today. And I ran into him as the Zerg was going by, and I said something about like, "Oh, you've like discovered the guild emblemer. Like congratulations. Like, you know, your tune's pretty." I don't know. I said something stupid like that. And he was like, "Oh, it's Teddy Ceramic." Pulls me in to TeamSpeak and is like, "Hey, you know, you should do I'd love to come on at some point and do the state of the game. Like, maybe we should make that happen." So it is in fact going to happen. I don't know if.
Please be in there when that happens.
Would you like to participate, Bumbles?
Are you kidding me? Yes.
So
I'll be nice too.
So it is in fact going to happen. I don't know whether we'll get him on camera or not. It'd be kind of cool to put a face to a name. But it is a requirement that he does bring a glass of orange juice with him if he does come onto the state of the game. I think that's even if we don't see it, we'll take his word for it. Yeah, I'm excited to talk to him. I want to get more people on. I want to talk to all of the folks, but they just have to have a willingness to even not on cam. I mean, look, Casper came on with a chicken on a skateboard, and that was fine. So
yeah,
make it happen. Also, to your point, Keytrick, Ronnie, right, with that fryer. Is it Gunther or something?
Oh yeah.
That thing
with
looks
with
unbelievable.
he
Yeah,
has that little pig running around with him. Yeah, it's hilarious. It's funny. Like some of the transmogs are hilarious. Like just getting me. I've been trying to make my little Tank of America one look like a American flag, and it's just like even like I saw some people like one the Armsman Sizz had like a purple one. Looks pretty hilarious. Like there's a lot of fun things going on like with transmogs and everything like that, which is kind of neat. But yeah, that fryer.
I want to know how he got a
fryer.
guild emblem on an egg shield because I can't put it on my Necro shield, and I was very upset about it.
Oh man.
I want to know how you bedazzle an entire outfit like that. I mean, that's pretty wild. This new version that he's got, he went from like old and bland to like Lady Gaga-esque fryer temp. It's pretty wild stuff. Anyway, yeah. I too have kind of been excited to see people messing around and trying new things. Hopefully we get more of that. And there's been a number of returning players to the game over the last few weeks that I've run into. Maybe 4 or 5 folks that are like haven't been playing for 2 or 3 years that have just come back.
Who was that minstrel that we saw the other day? Atharn? Atharn?
Yeah. Who
like, really old school minstrel that I saw. I was like, man, I haven't seen that name in forever.
Yeah. He has a statue in Camelot.
Yeah.
Won some of the tournaments, I think, in the past, right? So,
yep.
or some of those competitions. Anyway, Lust Machine is Gunther. Okay, that's right. Yeah, it's fun to see folks come back, and I hope we get more of that. I think some of the better 8-mans that have made the return, like I think they've been finding some pretty decent action. Otherwise, they wouldn't be here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so just a couple other things. We did a Saturday stream. Beep was off, and we did a mashup stream of like I think we had 8 streamers at one point that we were flipping between fights. I think we're gonna try and do that again at some point down the road. If you're listening to this on the podcast, watching this on YouTube, watching it live on Twitch, and you can work OBS or work Streamlabs or are willing to give it a shot, I'd love for you to send me a DM, because we're going to try and do that again, and we're going to try and do it bigger than we did before. I don't know when this is going to happen, if it's going to be on a Saturday, if we'll do it on an off day, whatever. But if you're willing to contribute your stream, I think we got some pretty cool plans, and I'd really like to do it again, and I'd like to go bigger. So just a quick plug, shout out for that. If you know how to stream or you're interested in learning, send me a message, and we'd get you hooked up. But I think that's really it. We'll just go through real quick. So, Bumbles, you're at twitch.tv/BumblesZerg.
I am.
You've been streaming quite a bit lately.
I've been trying to. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to fill voids, basically. If I get on and I see that nobody's streaming, I'll just jump on. You know, I have yet to have the effect of people being like, hey, I want to come back to the game because I see you playing it, because they're like, what the hell is this guy doing? But it's kind of a cool place for people who might be at work. I play a lot during EU time, just because I'm home. But yeah, I mean, I've been having fun, and it's cool just to talk to people in chat while I'm playing, you know, and they can kind of see like what I'm getting into, and maybe I'm showing people a different side of the game that they didn't know was there, or they're seeing like, hey man, you're just, you know, doing laps around the maps, and sometimes that happens. But yeah, it's been fun. I've been enjoying it.
You don't usually stream with a delay, I don't think.
Oh God, no.
So-
I just want to, I do it because I want to. Number one, if people want to stream snipe me, cool, like make it happen. But they have to come find me, and then again, I get a fight out of it, so I'm fine with it. I've yet to find like full groups who I know are intentionally trying to come and find me. But yeah, if other soloers see like, hey, he's over here, I don't run a delay because I also like to talk to the chat. But yeah, that's my big thing is no delay. So if you see me, that's where I am. You can feel free, come fight me. Don't bow. I'll just laugh at you.
And Gaval makes a point that you've been. I noticed. I was watching today, and you're quite good at hiding. As soon as you see a Zerg coming your way with the shade form.
Oh yeah.
So
I go into my ninja form and I just hide.
So yeah, he's been saying he's learned to check the trees for you. But check out Bumbles at twitch.tv/BumblesZerg. And Keydrick, man, you've been all over the place doing some awesome streams, giving that account away. What are your plans for future streams and for your playtime and what you're up to?
We'll see. I try to stream as much as I can. If I notice like somebody else streaming, like specifically anyone that streams at night or something like that, I tend not to stream. Just because I enjoy watching others stream too. But we'll see. I might try to like stream a little bit more, or try to get like a like maybe a better schedule. Like I'm gonna look at some days that others are streaming and try to stream on the days they're not or whatnot, just to provide some content on there. Because there's sometimes where like you go on and there's nobody streaming like Dark Age, which is kind of sad. Like obviously you'd like to stick on Twitch on and just watch it, but yeah, we'll see. Hopefully I'll get some more streams going soon. There's a few different like giveaways that people wanted me to try, for example, the Volk and whatnot. I'm gonna definitely look into all the options, and hopefully I'll get on a little bit more. I'm usually later though, Eastern time, so it's always gonna be probably around 8-9 o'clock Eastern is when I will stream. But yeah, hopefully there'll be some more in the future. And the only thing I can suggest is we get more streamers out there. Like I know there's a lot of people in chat right now, and I've enjoyed every single one of the streams that I've watched that people are doing, and I'm glad Bumbles is doing it too. We just got to get like you should just get sponsored by some hair products, Bumbles, because you'd be making some money there. But yeah, definitely get some more streamers out there.
You can turn him red. I'm surprised there's been the Bumbles has been getting the love tonight. And Keydrick, I want to make sure that I give you some credit for being in prison and streaming to us live from prison here.
That's why I get so many views though. Like they know I'm just in prison, so they come here, they sponsor me. We go through the commissary. I got everything. Volk will tell you. I even got like he said something about these peanuts, random peanuts. I literally got everything. The commissary opens like every day for me, so we head there. We get some stuff, you know.
Keydrick, I'm pretty sure those are almonds. Are those almonds?
They're not. No, there's some wasabi peanuts or something. There might be almonds.
They're almonds, yeah. It's a nut of some kind. Those are actually really quite good. But
so for anybody who hasn't watched Keydrick's stream, I have to say by far and away he is the most entertaining streamer that I've watched. Not just DAOC.
Yes.
The dude's just a riot. Like he's just funny, and it's always very lighthearted. and he has like a really good outlook on the game, and he plays it because it's a game and he has fun doing it. So like that's a real key thing. So I just wanted to give Kedrick a little love on that one.
Yeah, you are.
Appreciate it, guys.
I completely agree. You are super interactive. You're one of the best I think I've seen it. It's certainly like there's all of these big streamers out there with the millions and millions of folks. You by far the most entertaining and engaging. And I have a blast
Especially when you
watching
call
you.
fights. Those are hilarious.
Yes, yes,
Fight
yes,
casting?
yes.
Yeah, you got to get a few drinks with me then. But yeah, the fight casting. You got to start doing that though, Ramik. If you do the multi-stream, you should definitely go in and start casting some of the fights.
I need help. I need help. I need people to volunteer to come on and be a part of and do it. So if you want to step up to the plate and be one of those folks, we'd love to have you on. It'd be a hoot. It'd be a lot of fun.
For sure. For sure.
All right. Well, make sure you check out Kedrick. He is at twitch.tv/Kedrick. No funny business there. And make sure you send him some money for the commissary while you're at it. Or at least drop him a sub. Thanks,
Times
guys.
are tough in the laundry room.
Yeah. We're
Yeah.
low on whiskey too. Getting low.
We got to help out the whiskey fund then for sure. Thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. Hopefully
Thanks
we'll
for having me, man.
Thanks for having me.
have you both back at some point very, very soon.
Yeah, buddy.
Thank you guys. So that's it. I just want to very quickly thank, as always, our Patreon supporters. We could not do this without them at patreon.com/ramicmedia. Thanks to Chesser, Siambra, Sticky Note, and Pronder for being Beard Crew members. To Borgio, to Beeben, Ollie, and Shadow Dancer for being part of the It's Not Over crew. Bellamar, McPherson, and Quace for saving the game. And Arcanix, Bloodcore, Extraterrestrial, God's Demon, Gravity, Nargothron, Neomatrix, Keed, and Viowin for doing that. I mean, we couldn't do the giveaways, couldn't do half of what we do without all that love and support. And to the Twitch subs, too. You guys are super important. Make sure you check out these guys over here. Super important. Go sub to them, follow them, get notifications when they go live. Until next time, be safe, wear a mask, get the vaccine if you can, and we'll see you in 48 hours. Have a great night.